Well, that was something. Now, before we get started, I just want to clarify that this is not going to be another one of those videos claiming that the PSVR2 is already dead. I still think the PSVR2 is a great system with a lot of potential, and it's already selling better than the original PSVR at this point in its life cycle. That being said though, I don't think Sony put the headset in its best light today. Hi, I'm Christopher, this is the Nerd Corner, and here's everything announced for PSVR2 at PlayStation Showcase 2023. Stick around to the end to hear my thoughts about the showcase, and while you're here, don't forget to like and subscribe to keep up to date with all my latest videos. Links and timestamps are going to be in the description below, so let's go. Sony opened up the PSVR2 segment of the PlayStation Showcase with a trailer for developer Steel Wool's Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2. A sequel to the 2019 original, which saw VR releases on PC, PS4, and Oculus headsets, Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2 once again pits players against the game's audio animatronic antagonist in a spooky fight for survival. I never really got into the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise, though I did enjoy what I played of the original game through Viveport. This one isn't super high up on my list, but I know there are a lot of fans of the original who'll be excited to pick it up when it releases in late 2023. The next game to make an appearance at the showcase was the long-awaited VR mode for Capcom's Resident Evil 4 remake. The trailer showed off parts of the game's opening sections from a first-person perspective before switching to Leon desperately fighting for survival in the iconic Village Square sequence. I'm a huge fan of Resident Evil 4, so I'm excited to see how this one turns out. No release date was given, so we'll just have to hope this comes out sooner rather than later. Even though it didn't really land for me personally, I know that the 2021 port of the original Resident Evil 4 for the Oculus Quest 2 was really well received, so I'm intrigued to see what Capcom will be able to do with the remake using the graphical power of the PS5. This next game came as a bit of a surprise to me. Those of you who've either been playing or following VR gaming for a while now are probably familiar with Arizona Sunshine. It was a campaign-based zombie shooter from 2016. Well, now it's 7 years later, and developer Vertigo Games is back with a sequel that looks set to amp up the first game's gunplay and gore. The sequel gives players a canine buddy named Buddy to keep them company in the zombie-filled wasteland, and Vertigo is promising that the game will be a, quote, cinematic VR journey of intense survival. I imagine I'm not the only one who's feeling a bit over zombie shooters after years of blasting away the undead in VR, but with its gorgeous graphics and what appears to be a disgustingly detailed gore system, Arizona Sunshine 2 looks like it might be a fun way to kill a few hours and a few hundred Freds when it releases later this year. Continuing with the firearms-based fun, the next trailer was for Smilegate Entertainment's Crossfire Sierra Squad. The room-scale military shooter features 13 single-player campaign missions that players can tackle with an arsenal of 39 different weapons. Smilegate hasn't forgotten about co-op fans either though, including 52-player squad missions in the game, as well as a 4-player horde mode. Even though the PSVR2 already has one great shooter with Bankrupt Games' Pavlov, I really feel like Crossfire Sierra Squad could be something special when it releases this summer. And while I wish that the co-op offerings were a bit meatier, this still looks like it could be a blast to hop into with friends. The next game to make an appearance was the surreal shooter Synapse, created by developer InDreams, who some of you may know from its work on Frack, Phantom Covert Ops, and Far Cry VR Dive into Insanity. Synapse lets players take on waves of enemies inside a surreal dreamscape. The game mixes good old-fashioned firearms with telekinetic powers that can be used to throw enemies around Synapse's destructible environments. InDreams has said that Synapse was designed to take full advantage of the PSVR2, so this unusual shooter is definitely one to keep an eye on when it releases on July 4th. I'm cautiously optimistic about this one. While the gameplay trailer has me worried that Synapse could be just the latest entry in what seems like a string of roguelike shooters for the PSVR2, the gorgeous visuals and unique setting, which kinda reminds me of the movie The Cell, definitely have me intrigued. The last PSVR2 game included in the PlayStation Showcase was Beat Games' port of its wildly popular Beat Saber. I honestly don't have a lot to add for this one. If you've played VR at all, or are even vaguely familiar with it, then chances are that you're already well aware of Beat Saber and its addictive rhythm-based gameplay. The trailer highlighted a Queen music pack but didn't show off any new gameplay features, though it did close with an announcement sure to make some fans of the game happy. Unlike the other games included in the PlayStation Showcase, Beat Saber for the PSVR2 is available now. In another surprise announcement, those of you who already own Beat Saber for the original PlayStation VR will be able to upgrade for free and take any of the music packs you've purchased along with you. And that was all Sony had to offer PSVR2 owners at its PlayStation Showcase. Now let me be clear, I don't think this is a bad lineup of games by any means. Quite the opposite, in fact. What worries me, though, is that this could be too little too late at a time where both Apple and Meta are set to reveal new headsets in the coming weeks. I'm not saying the PSVR2 is doomed. I think it's still a great headset with a bright future. But I do think Sony missed a real opportunity here to show gamers why they should choose PSVR2 over the competition. With the PSVR2 only now becoming available on store shelves in many countries, I really wish Sony would have used the opportunity to showcase titles and experiences that simply wouldn't be possible on other VR headsets. The lack of any big first-party titles based around some of Sony's legendary properties is probably the most surprising thing about the PlayStation Showcase to me. With franchises like God of War and The Last of Us in its catalog, it's really surprising that Sony wouldn't want to capitalize on them to sell more headsets. All in all, I don't think Sony did a great job of convincing those still on the fence that the PSVR2 is worth their time. But that's just my opinion. And while I'm not particularly excited about the lineup Sony had on display, I know everyone has different taste in games. So, let me know what you thought about Sony's PlayStation Showcase in the comments down below. If you already own a PSVR2, were there any games on display that you're really looking forward to adding to your library? And if you don't own a PSVR2 yet, did you see anything that might convince you to pick one up in the future? As always, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you liked the video. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your morning, your evening, your afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever you are. I know you have a lot of choices on how you spend that time, so I really do appreciate you spending some of it here with me in the Nerd Corner. See you soon.